Okay, welcome everyone. I'm excited to present Kyle Sulerud from LeadZolo and Juiced, who's been kind enough to join me today to talk about his exciting new platform for paper lead marketers. Kyle, take it away, man. Tell us a bit about Juiced and what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, lots of different places I could start, I guess. Thanks for having me. So Juiced is our platform for lead distribution, and that was kind of born out of my pay-per-lead company, LeadZolo. We have been selling leads now for almost 4 years, and then a couple years ago decided we wanted a better way to do it and couldn't find a program available that would do what we wanted. So we just decided to build our own. We kind of knew right away that if we built it, other people would want to use it. So we built it uh, always with having it in mind that we would allow other pay-per-lead companies to use the platform. But it took us about 6 months of development before we could start using it. Another year for just us using it and refining it and making sure it worked. And then just recently now, after 18 months of starting to build the software, we've started bringing in some other users of it. So it's been a process, but it's exciting now to see other people using the platform, and it'll be interesting to see how it grows and what challenges and opportunities other pay-per-lead companies run into that we can kind of help them work through, because it's been fun for me now just kind of helping marketing companies again, as opposed to helping the customers of my marketing company.
Yeah, right. So helping agencies like yourself, people that have you've been in their shoes and trying to grow your agency.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
and so what was the breaking point moment that made you realize that Juiced was what the lead generation or paper lead industry kind of needed?
Yeah, so our company LeadZolo, we sell um, motivated seller leads, which means it's a homeowner that wants to sell their house fast for cash. They don't want to sell with a realtor. So that's what a lead is. It's a homeowner that wants to sell their house. And then our customers who are buying those leads are real estate investors. So they're trying to find houses that they can get a deal on so that they can make money as an investor. So we kind of started out how I think most pay-per-lead companies start, is selling packages of leads. So our customers would need to buy 10, 20, 30 leads at a time, and then we would run ads. In our case, most of our leads are generated through YouTube and Google and Facebook ads. So we would then run ads to deliver the leads that the customer has ordered. And then, okay, customer gets the 20 leads they paid for. Now you need to try to get them to buy another 20 leads. And that's kind of how we operated for quite a while. Now we knew, just because there are some other companies in our industry who were doing it a little differently, we knew there were other ways to do it, mainly being able to bring customers into a platform and allow them to quote unquote bid on a lead. So they would say, okay, I want leads in this county in the United States or in this state, and I'll pay you $200 per lead. Or someone else might come in and say, well, I'll pay you $250 for leads. And then you can then kind of sell it to the highest bidder, whoever's willing to pay the most for that lead. Kind of how Google Ads works. So we knew people were willing to buy leads like that because, again, we had some other companies in our space who were selling leads like that. And we just assumed it was pretty obvious that if you can let your customers bid and drive up the price of the leads, you can then make more per lead versus just trying to sell the same package to everyone and everyone's basically paying the same price per lead. So that seemed obvious to us. What wasn't so obvious was how to actually accomplish that. We couldn't find a software that enabled that kind of a system where customers could come and bid on leads. It looked like our competitors who were doing it were using their own kind of custom built stuff, and it was kind of janky. Like it wasn't pretty. It kind of got the job done, but it wasn't really an attractive way for a customer to come buy leads.
But was it using the auction system? And before Juice, what were you doing to duct tape to make the lead distribution work?
Yeah, before Juiced, we were using primarily Lead Prosper was the software. So to back up, so we started out, we had a couple customers, they would want leads in X city. So we'd run ads in that city. Eventually, once we had enough customers, we would run these bigger campaigns targeting multiple cities or targeting nationwide. So all of the leads would come in through one funnel. We then had to determine, okay, which customer is going to get this lead. And that would be based on the geography of the lead. So in Lead Prosper, we were able to set that up where, okay, this customer wants leads in these locations. So if a lead comes in this location, send it to that customer. If it comes in a different location, send it to this other customer. So in Lead Prosper, we were able to do that. Customers were still buying packages of leads from us. So they'd pay. We would essentially give them credits in a Lead Prosper account. When the leads came in and went to the customer, it would deduct from those credits. What happened was we grew very quickly and had hundreds of customers in Lead Prosper. And Lead Prosper is not really built for that. They're built more for enterprise clients, and maybe you're selling leads to a handful of customers. It's built more for someone who's generating leads and then selling them to enterprise clients. That's kind of, in my opinion and experience, that's how Lead Prosper was kind of built for. It's not built for selling leads to hundreds of clients. So the tech ended up getting really complicated, and we had a Zap for every customer had a Zap that would send them notifications. It would put their leads in a Google Sheet. It would email them and do all this stuff. Very complex. So that's what we were doing before Juiced. We did find one other tool that could kind of set up an auction system for us how we wanted to. But that was going to come with all this custom development. It wasn't an out-of-the-box solution. It would require us to, basically they would have still had to develop quite a lot for us. So we concluded that if we wanted this thing to do what we thought it could do, that we would just have to build it ourselves. So that's why we ended up building Juiced. Had a system like this existed, we wouldn't have bothered to build Juiced. We'd still just be a lead generation company. We wouldn't really be trying to get into the software business at all.
And so how much money do you think lead gen, well, like having the reverse auction system is essentially what Juice does, right? It has a reverse auction. Can you explain how
So
that works?
there's a few components, and this has evolved over time. So the main thing is this auction system where customer can come in, they can say, I want leads in this location and I'll pay you this much money. Another customer can come in, they can offer to pay more. So then in real time, when a lead comes into the system, as soon as it's generated, that lead will go to the highest bidder, whoever's willing to pay the most for that lead. They've already paid, they have money sitting in a wallet, so we don't have to worry about a failed payment. So Juiced will take money out of their wallet and it'll send them the lead in a matter of seconds, right? From when the lead is generated, now they have the lead because they were the highest bidder. Now the next highest bidder knows that they're not the highest bidder, so there's always that competitive element. We've seen pricing in the system get as high as $1,000 per lead. Just because there was a bidding war going on in a certain city or something. So crazy stuff like that can start to happen where you're just selling leads for a crazy amount of money. which, by the way, isn't always a great thing. If you're selling a lead for $1,000, the people tend to return those leads at a much higher rate than if they're just buying them for $200 a piece. So it is good to have some limit on how much you're going to let customers pay per lead. It doesn't help to sell a lead for $1,000 if it's going to be returned half the time, right?
Right.
So anyway, so that's like the main component of the bidding system, is that the lead will sell to the highest bidder. Now, we built that was working, and then we realized that, and we always knew that we had these leads that weren't selling to anybody. We have a minimum bid amount that people can pay. In our case, we set that at $200. That's going to be different for every industry. But we have in many parts of the country just people who aren't bidding. Nobody's bidding. So if a lead comes in that area, it would basically fall out of the bottom of the system. We had some partnerships where we'd send it to somebody and they'd kind of pay us if they were able to get a deal from that lead. So we were able to liquidate some of those leads to some extent, but it just was never ideal. So that's where we built in the reverse auction marketplace, where if a lead comes in, it doesn't have a buyer, it drops into our marketplace where it'll start out at a higher price, say $150 per lead. And then for the next 24 hours, every hour it drops in price. So in our case, it'll drop by $5 every hour. After 24 hours, it gets down to $35. Usually by then we have a buyer. Usually someone, even if they're across the country, a $35 lead in our industry is pretty attractive. So usually someone will buy it for at least $35. Or they may have bought it for $150 right when it dropped in the system. Maybe they paid $100 a little bit later on. As time goes on, the lead's a little less valuable because it'll be harder to get a hold of that person naturally.
Yeah.
So then, they're willing to pay something for that lead, and then we can liquidate that a little better than if we were trying to send the lead to a partner.
Yeah. So you got both ends of the market. People willing to pay a lot more for a good lead, and then you got people willing to wait, I guess, until the lead drops in value and they try and get a bargain, I guess, so to speak. Is that what you see?
Yep, exactly. And some people, that's all they're buying are the bargain leads. Some people only want leads in a certain location, and if it's a competitive location, those leads are never going to end up on the marketplace. So they can never really get a bargain on the leads in some locations. So so we have the people bidding on the leads in those more desirable locations, and so that's been really helpful to be able to serve both ends of the market. And really, a lot of people are attracted by the cheaper leads, and then a lot of people are just attracted by the volume of the leads and the quality of the leads, and knowing that they can get all of the leads if they're willing to pay the most for them.
Yeah. And what's the feedback been like from your clients? Because obviously before this model, you did the straight set price model. Mm-hmm. And then I'm assuming some of your existing clients came across to this system and started using it. What was their general feedback initially?
Yeah, we had both sides of it, especially because we had over 500 clients we had to transfer over, which took us months to actually do because we wanted to have a call with everyone to show them the new system. So we had some customers who were paying $200 per lead, or some of them were paying even less because they had been a customer longer. So by the time some of these people got shown the new system, the lead price in their area was already higher than what they had been paying, $300, $400 per lead. So some people came in, saw that the lead price was higher, and of course they immediately didn't like that. But then we had other people come in who had basically been screaming at us like, hey, I want more leads. How do I get more leads? I'm willing to pay you more if you can send me more leads. Well, now they came in and immediately saw that they can finally get more leads if they're willing to pay more for them. So I think in like the majority of people like the new system. The majority of people appreciated.
They like, oh, you're back. Sorry. Was
Back.
it you? What happened?
I don't know.
Shit.
Sorry about that, but
That's all right. We can just cut that out and then continue from where you were. So,
but so yeah, so the really the majority of people like the new system, and it's more. They're more in control. They can come in if they're going to be on vacation, they can come in and just pause their bids. Whereas before they would have to email our support team and it'd be this whole big thing. So the customers are much more in control now, even though in some cases they are needing to pay more for leads. But majority of people are happy with the new system, especially as we've added these new features like the reverse auction marketplace. Um, and So it's been over a year now since we've transitioned people. So it's pretty much business as usual at this point
yeah.
on the new
And
platform.
what is letting clients bid by lead type? Um, how has that changed the economics for lead sellers like yourself? You know, is the average? Have you got the numbers on the average sale per lead or price per lead now versus before?
I could look it up, but it's more, right? So our minimum is $200 that we'll sell a lead for. And this is in general terms. We can get into it shortly. We have other types of leads too, um, at different price points, but our main lead type is bidding starts at $200. We max it out at $1,000. Nobody can bid more than 1,000, but the average sale price of a lead is closer to $250 now at this point, whereas before we were selling our leads for $200. So it's definitely allowed us to increase the price of leads. But what's probably helped more in terms of maximizing our profitability is the reverse auction marketplace, because now instead of a lead going for $0, we get 30 or 50 or $100 for it. And then also lead types, which I just mentioned. So in addition to our main lead type, there are certain things in our industry. Again, we're selling real estate homeowner leads. So there are things like if it's a mobile home, it's not going to be worth as much to an investor. Or if it's already listed with a realtor, it's not going to be worth as much to an investor because now there's a realtor involved and it makes it more difficult to invest in that property. So these are different types of leads that also basically used to go in the garbage before, because our main $200 leads, we were guaranteeing that the house wouldn't be listed with a realtor already. It would be a single family home, stuff like that. So if we had mobile homes or land or houses that were listed with realtors, we were basically throwing those in the garbage. Well, now with Juiced, we've been able to segment each of those into different lead types and get something for them. So for a lead that's already listed with a realtor, we might be able to sell that lead for $15, or we could put it on marketplace and get $5 or maybe even just $1 for it if that's all we can get for it. Or same with a mobile home, maybe we can get $25 for it or $15 on marketplace. So now we're able to actually liquidate these other lead types, because we can segment them more easily and allow people to go see them. They can place bids on them. They can buy these types of leads from marketplace, and it gives more options, again, more control to the customer, and then ultimately just adds to our bottom line because a lot of these leads were just going in the garbage before.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that myself with our leads that we call them subprime auto leads, that not many people want them. Sometimes we don't sell them. So even if we could get 10, 15, $20 for them, that would be a real win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you're able to liquidate more of your ad spend back and then get paid more for quality leads, which obviously you don't with a fixed price pay per lead model. Makes
And
a
then
lot of
it
sense.
also can attract people to your platform. Because if you have leads like that, well, for us, if we're selling some leads for $35 or $10, it allows people to come try us out essentially with very little commitment. They don't have to spend $10,000 on a package of leads.
What's the minimum commitment?
Well, to buy leads on Marketplace, we don't have any minimum commitment. So they can come buy a lead. They can put $5 in their wallet and buy a lead for
Wow.
$5 if that's what they want.
Wow.
Now, if they want to go into the bidding system, the bidding section of Juiced is going to be locked until they spend a minimum. So
So if the minimum per lead is 200, they need at least 200 in their wallet to do the bidding system. But then the marketplace is a separate place induced where they can buy leads for however cheaply they drop to.
yeah, so we take it even a step further. They need to actually put down a minimum deposit to have access to bidding at all. So for us, for LeadZolo, it's $1,000 minimum deposit that we require, but any Juiced customer can set their own minimum. So, and we do that kind of to train people on, make sure they understand the platform, they understand how returns are going to work, and so that they can actually get a reasonable number of leads from the bidding system. We don't want someone to bid $200, get one lead, and then decide that it was a bad lead, and that's obviously not a great customer. So we force people to spend at least $1,000 in order to bid on leads. And we find that works pretty well because they can come kind of sample the marketplace, kind of see what it's all about. But then let's say they're doing a search for their area and there's no leads available in their area on marketplace. Then that'll kind of guide them to the bidding system and say, hey, there's no leads here. Make sure you go place a bid to get priority access and get the lead when it comes in. And then when they go to do that, if they haven't been given access to bidding yet, it'll just direct them to a sales call. So then our
Okay.
sales team can handle it from
Yeah, because it sounds quite automated. Like the fact that they can sort of log in, add credit themselves, check out the marketplace. It sounds like you have less onboarding than a typical pay per lead agency. Do you find there are people that just do that self service and then don't even have a sales call until necessary?
Yeah, there's a lot of self-serve people. Uh, we've found it's valuable for us to get people on a sales call. So we certainly try to get everyone on a sales call. Um, Try to get them to put a larger deposit down. We incentivize them to put a $5,000 deposit down versus just 1,000. So we try to get them to make a bigger commitment through the sales call. But yeah, they don't have to. Like they can just hang out on Marketplace forever if they really want to. Or once they've had that sales call and we've kind of showed them the platform, they never have to talk to us again if they don't want to. They can add money, adjust their bids, turn off their bids. They can go buy leads. They can set up their own webhook. So if they want their leads to be delivered into their CRM, they can do all of that themselves inside of Juiced. So it is very hands off. And we were able to basically eliminate the need for a whole customer support role with Juiced versus when we were doing everything with Lead Prosper.
And do you have clients like that where they've been with you for a while and you've never had a sales call, but they just buy leads intermittently?
Yeah, yeah, we do.
That's cool. So I think that sounds appealing to a lot of pay per lead guys that don't necessarily want to deal with clients. But I imagine your bigger buyers probably need some training on the auction system, and it might take a little bit of learning in the beginning.
Yeah, it helps. It's cool for people to come in and spend a few $100s on leads, but it's a lot cooler if we can get them on a sales call and get them to spend 5,000 and then, that leads. We have several clients who have spent over $100,000 on leads with us. We have several clients spending $10,000 a month or more.
Yeah, well,
And it's worth it to talk to those clients and to know those clients. But if we certainly wouldn't have to, I think the business would hurt if we just stopped taking those calls. But yeah, we wouldn't have to. It could all be hands off if that's how someone wanted to run.
mm. And so can this system, like you mentioned, LeadZolo is your agency, right? Your agency name, and you're
Mhm.
obviously using Juiced as your unique proprietary software. But I believe you guys are now opening up the Lead Juice or the Juice proprietary software to other pay per lead agencies. And so, can it work in any vertical?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not proprietary anymore. Anyone can come sign up for Juiced and do exactly what we're doing. Um, I don't know of a vertical it doesn't work in. Probably the only main thing that some people ask us about that we don't have the capability for would be pay per call. So it Juice doesn't have any call or call transfer capabilities, anything like that. It's just built for form leads. Um, but yeah, any vertical where there are going to be multiple buyers and one buyer might want to pay more per lead than the next buyer, it's pretty much what Juiced is built for.
Yeah, because I'm in the mortgage refinance industry here in Australia, and I'm really keen to try Juiced for that vertical. So, like, what would you say is the right order to go about things? Would it be to get a large database of buyers initially buying my leads at a fixed price and then introduce Juiced, or would you go to market and say, hey, we've got a reverse auction platform, and start getting leads onto the platform first?
Yeah, so if we were starting over, I would just be bringing customers onto Juiced right away. So even if you're essentially selling it as a package, right? If you were wanting to bring in buyers to spend $10,000. Well, let me ask you, how are you bringing in your customers now?
We run Facebook ads, we have sales calls, and then they commit to say 15, 25 leads and they pay us in advance.
Okay. So whatever they're paying you in advance now, you can still require that same advance payment. But instead of setting up an account for them in a distribution software and building out their profile or however you're doing it, you just bring them into Juice and say, okay, here's your $10,000 you just paid me. And you can set up your bids here in this location where you want your leads. And we're just going to start sending you leads in that location until your balance runs down to zero. If you want more leads when your balance gets to zero, then you can put more money in and we'll keep sending you the leads. So even with one buyer who only wants leads in one location, you can still bring them into Juiced and deliver them the leads that way. Because what you can do, or let's say you have 5 or 10 buyers, you can export a report from Juiced that tells you the locations that your buyers want the leads in. And then you can run your ad campaigns to generate leads in those locations. So now you're generating leads mainly for those customers. That doesn't really change. It's just a different platform that you're using. And then at the same time, you can take those subprime loans or leads in other locations that happen to come through. You can start putting those into a marketplace for your current customers to buy from you, or then also start to use that marketplace to attract new customers.
Yeah, I see that as an attractive part of it, using the marketplace as a hey, come in and see what's available and get a bargain sort of thing. But then you mentioned with the filtering by location, because I imagine with motivated seller leads, the where the lead originates is very important to the lead buyer. But with mortgage refinance, for example, the the mortgage broker can kind of service anyone anywhere. They're more probably worried about the minimum loan amount or the current interest rate. Can we then filter and have them bid on other criteria like that?
Yeah, so that's where leads types would come into play. So, if location isn't a factor for you, you don't need to segment by location. You can just have Australia and the entire country is where how people would bid. But then you can have different segments of leads based on the type of lead. If it's a home loan or an auto loan or whatever, those would be different segments of leads. If it's subprime, prime, however those are being segmented, you can just basically segment those inside of Juiced. Customer can then come in and say, okay, I want to bid $200 for a prime mortgage lead, or I'll bid $100 for a subprime mortgage lead. And then that can be done with those lead types.
Right. So that we can pick the criteria that they bid against, and they can set whatever price they're willing to pay for a prime or a subprime. So, okay, that's really good.
Yep. However you want to segment, and then you have the control over what's going to be the minimum bid for each segment. You know, how are you going to name that segment, and how are you going to? You basically set rules for each segment based on questions on the lead form. You know,
I see.
if they answered the question this way, then it's subprime. If they answered it this way, then it's prime. So you kind of segment and filter those things inside of Juice. But then as far as the customer sees, they're just going to see the name of that lead type and then a description of it that you would set up.
All right. So the customer sees partial information until they purchase the lead, and then is there a mobile app, or how do they get notified about new leads that pop into the marketplace?
There's not a mobile app, but the site works really well on mobile. And there's different options for notifications. So the customer can set up a webhook to their CRM or to their Zapier and kind of do what they want with that. Or you, as the lead supplier, can enable text notifications. You can enable email notifications. And then the lead also goes right into the client's account. So they can go into their account and see all of the leads they've purchased and all of those details there. But they can you can kind of set up the notifications that would make sense for them.
Yep, I see. So there really is two parts. There's the lead marketplace, and then what do you call the other section where they purchase leads from?
The priority bidding.
Priority bidding.
And then the marketplace. Yep.
Cool. So what about companies that are currently doing well with you? What separates those clients that are doing well with sort of Lead Juice at the moment that you see?
Say that again. You cut out for a second.
Oh, sorry. What separates clients who sort of 10x their business or do really well from your leads and those that maybe just incrementally improve a little bit?
You mean through using Juiced or with LeadZolo?
Using Juiced and LeadZolo, like which clients of yours have you seen do well from this platform? Is it the ones with the big sales teams, or is there something about the clients that tend to do well with Lead Juiced?
Yeah, I guess we don't have enough data on that yet. We have fewer than 10 Juiced users as of this recording. So,
you mean like other agencies using Juiced?
Right.
Kind of like how you are. Okay. Yeah, and I was going to ask, so how many of those? There's about 10, and are they in a variety of verticals?
Yep. Yeah, variety of verticals. Stuff that I've never even thought about as a pay per lead vertical, which is interesting. But yeah, variety of verticals, variety of use cases. So I don't, and we're only a few months in with other people using Juice, so I don't really have the data on what's working best or not quite yet.
But it's available. Juice is available in what countries right now?
So it's currently set up for United States and for Australia, but we have the capability to add new countries as needed. And because we have so few users right now, we're very hands-on with everyone using it. And if someone comes in and needs to be set up in Canada, for example, we can get that figured out. We might just need some feedback on, okay, how do we really segment the geographies of Canada? What makes the most sense? Provinces, and then what makes the most sense in terms of segmenting the geographies. But we have the United States and Australia, and then we have the capability to really add any country that someone would need.
Awesome. And one final question. What's on the roadmap, or is there anything on the roadmap for Juice that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, we have a big working feature list that it's exciting to me because it's stuff that we've kind of wanted for LeadZolo for a while, stuff that we know is going to be interesting and useful for LeadZolo. It's all just kind of little stuff, though. I can't say there's a big feature that we're coming out with. Like the bidding platform is a big feature. Marketplace was a big feature. We don't necessarily have another big feature like that I'm excited for. It's really just kind of cleaning up all the little stuff and making sure it's really fine-tuned at this point. And then being open to hearing what the users really want. Because we pretty much have it built how we want it for LeadZolo. Like it's cooking. We're doing about $1 million per month in lead sales with LeadZolo. So we don't need to really add any more features for LeadZolo. I'll be really curious to hear what some other companies, what features they want us to add, and see what it's going to make sense for us to build in.
Okay, so I guess you're excited about bringing on more agencies onto Juiced and then working with them to customize it however they want. So if anyone's keen to try it, how can they get in touch with you or in touch with your team?
Go to usejuiced.com. Or if you don't remember that or can't figure it out, just reach out to anyone at LeadZolo, LeadZolo.com, and we can point you in the right direction. But if you go to usejuiced.com, you'll see a little video demo there of all the main features, and then you can reach out to us to book a call, and we'll take a look at your business. At this point, there's really no self onboarding onto Juiced in terms of an agency. We want to have that call, make sure it's going to be a good fit for you and what you're trying to do. And then we're going to walk you through getting onboarded. At this stage, anyway, that's what we're doing. Hopefully a year from now, there's other options and self-onboarding is more of an option. But for now, we're going to be very hands-on with any users that are joining.
Yep. Yeah, I went through it myself with you and your team. Cody there was great and really helpful in getting me onboarded. So I'm really excited to start using the platform myself. Need to get some buyers on there, but I'm going to do that soon. Thanks for your time, Kyle. Really appreciate it. And yeah, everyone check out Juiced, usejuiced.com if you're keen to give it a whirl.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.